We'll now hear from Mrs. Anne Morris, who has kindly stepped into the middle of a speech prepared by student Rabbi Ray Erstons, who sadly cannot be with us this evening due to illness.
Good evening. I'm very happy to be asked to present Rabbi's words to you. Obviously, these are the words of a young man, not the old lady that is delivering them to you, so just stretch your imaginations. When society in general thinks about history, we tend to think of it as a kind of collective experience. We tend, for the most part, to study history through the eyes of the famous and the decision makers. If 20 years studying and working in the field of anthropology have taught me anything, it's that the real stories of history are the stories of individual people and their fates. Most of us here probably know that in 79 CE, Mount Vesuvius erupted and wiped out the entire city of Pompeii. Most of us here also probably know that the very destruction of the city was immortalised by the freezing in time of the remains of nearly 1,500 people. I'd wager that none of those that managed to escape imagined that over the course of 2 days their lives would be turned upside down, and on one of those days their lives as they knew them would be ended. And so it was on the night of Friday, 16th of March, 1190, exactly 832 years ago today. I'm doing a lot of imagining, but I imagine that the large majority of Jews in York were going about their everyday lives preparing for Shabbat, and probably thinking slightly ahead towards Pesach, much as we are doing now. Almost certainly not considering that within one day their lives, their whole world in fact, would be destroyed. We have a heritage of faith. Our ancestors lived by their faith and died for their faith, and we are here because of their faith. Yet our hold on our faith is insecure. So much in our world conspires against it. The deafening noise, so that we do not hear the still, small voice. The restless haste, so that we take no time to meditate. The blind pursuit of material wealth, making us forget that human beings do not live by bread alone, and the overwhelming pride induced in us by our science and technology, deluding us that soon we shall know and control everything. The speed of change which tempts us foolishly to think that what is old is obsolete. The cynicism which alleges that God and goodness, truth and consciousness are figments of our imagination, and our Western philosophy, which has so long exalted reason and neglected intuition. Faith has never been easy. It is a vision liable to fade as passing clouds conceal the sun. There are times of faith and there are times of doubt and despair in the histories of people and the lives of individuals. Faith has always been a venture, a pilgrimage and a struggle. Faith is not merely or mainly intellectual assent to a particular philosophy. It is rather an awareness of mystery, a sense of reverence, trusting, loving, a willing response of the heart, a self-enlistment in a great adventure. Faith is not an insurance, but a constant effort, constant listening to the eternal voice. For many to have faith means to justify God's faith in us, and therefore religion is not a feeling for something that is, but an answer to the one who is asking us to live in a certain way. It is in its very origin a consciousness of duty, of being committed to higher ends. Jewish history may be seen as one journey which began even before Egypt, when God said to Abraham, "Go from your country and from your birthplace." The and from your ancestral home to land that I will show you. The story tells us that Abraham and Sarah were not forced to leave their native land, nor did they go in search of wealth or pleasure. The task seems to have been to build a society that would reflect God's will and be an example to humanity, and so they went in faith. Often we have been driven from our homes by war and persecution and crossed the seas in search of safety and opportunity. Sometimes we have settled on friendly soil for many generations, and sometimes we have been drawn back as by a magnet to our old, new homeland. As true as that may be, always like Abraham and Sarah, we have known ourselves to be engaged upon a journey not yet ended, to a destination not yet reached, a journey towards a better world. The Jews should be interested in themselves is understandable, but our experience in history has aroused almost as much interest and comment from outside observers. Our stubborn fidelity to the fate of our ancestors, our resilience and adversity, and our knack for adapting our talents and energies to change circumstances have endured our survival long after the Greek civilization, which treated us with condescension, and the Roman Empire, which held us in contempt, have passed into oblivion. We as Jews should take pride in our history, not to boast, not to gloss over shortcomings, not to idealise or romanticise, and not to dwell in the past, but in wonder and gratitude. So may we have already come to draw our strength. Rabbi Yom Tov of York, whose name means good day, was one of the greatest Jewish scholars of his generation, and we still read his writings and commentaries to this day, 832 years after his death here at Clifford's Tower. His presence here is one of the most powerful and poignant reminders for me of the events of 1190, because I am only the fourth Jewish student rabbi in York since Rabbi Yom Tov. After years in academia and now studying to be a rabbi, I have spent an awful lot of my time reading texts by men and women from times that often feel so remote. Rashi died in France 85 years before the events here at Clifford's Tower, but almost daily I grapple with his thoughts and comments on the Torah. Joseph Caro died in Syria 400 years after him, but almost daily I contemplate his codification of Jewish law. Despite this, I don't feel much of a connection to either of them, their thinking or their culture. What happened here at Clifford's Tower tore such a big hole in the fabric of Anglo-Jewish history, and I am only 3 rabbis away from that last person to hold the title here in York for nearly 800 years. Standing here in memory of those who gave their lives willingly as a testament to their faith and their community, I pray in my heart for the coming of the day when all humanity lives together in peace and friendship, when oppression, discrimination and prejudice will be relics of the past, and all humanity will be filled with the Spirit of God. This is a day that the Bible tells us was foreseen by the prophets, a day for which we have longed for 100 generations, when all people will know and understand that we are connected, that we are siblings, and that we will, on that day, be united in mutual love and respect. One day can change a whole world, and one day I hope we do. Zikaron Livracha. May the memory of what happened here be a blessing to us. Thank you.